All right, hello adventurers and welcome to Dice Pirates Duet, a D&D actual play. My name is Kevin Treadway and below me is my lovely wife Lisa. If you haven't watched... Oh, there it goes. If you haven't watched this before, we are playing through the adventure included with the new Dungeons & Dragons Essentials Kit, The Dragon of Icespire Peak. Lisa, do me a favor, say something so I know your audio is working.
Okay, yeah, I'm here.
Good. You'll note that I'm a little paranoid about audio, and I'll get into that in just a second. Now, this may be a little bit different from other actual play sessions you've seen because Lisa and I are going to be using the new sidekick rules that came in that in the D&D Essentials Kit to play the game one-on-one, or as it's known poetically, as a duet. Two-player D&D has a different flow from traditional tabletop. It's been a fun challenge to adapt to, hasn't it, Lisa?
Yep.
keeping a clipped single word response. That's to keep things moving. All right. So
I stretched it out a little bit. You know, it was like there were several E's in that yep, I think.
A couple U's too.
Yeah.
So as you watch and as our story unfolds, we'll sometimes be experimenting with new approaches, different narrative techniques, to just try and kind of do something a little different from a traditional tabletop game. We may fall flat on our faces, but I'm well aware from watching Twitch that can be just as fun for the viewers to see.
Hey, Kevin.
Yeah.
Just so you know, that little thing where your audio cuts out to me in a syllable. It's doing it again.
Well, wonderful. I don't think it's doing it for this feed, so I hope you can just endure it.
Yeah. I'll just if I ask you to repeat something, that's why.
Okay. That's totally fine. Another audio glitch that's just jumped up, and it had not happened at all the previous session. But it's good to know that it's coming back because we get a new gremlin every single time we try this. We're going to be using Roll20 for this actual play, and we've uploaded our monsters and character sheets to take advantage of Roll20's macros for combat and damage. So that's a bit different from Session 0. But I'll still be relying on good old-fashioned paper for reference, initiative, and hit point tracking. And as always, I'll be making use of actual dice for secret rolls and the like. Some of our combat will occur with full tokens on like the grid, like you might see on a typical Roll20 actual play, but many encounters will be conducted in the theater of the mind. You can always keep track of who's who in the current party by checking out our brand new party overlay, which is in the upper right corner of the screen when we go into the Roll20 interface, which I'm going to do right now. Okay, so as you can see, in the upper right corner, you can now have the a party tracker with an example party portraits in it, and I'm going to take those down because right now, Quel is essentially by herself. Lisa,
all alone.
Well, but yes. But of course, all Ilmater watches over you.
Well, yes.
Okay. So before we begin, I'd like to thank some of the giants whose shoulders were perched on. Thanks to the lead writer of this adventure, Christopher Perkins, and the very talented team that worked on both it and some of the gorgeous illustrations and maps you'll be seeing. I'm also adapting some of Jeff Preston's so-called 60 Terrible Character Portraits, and a few sets purchased from the Roll20 Marketplace, Meditating Monkeys, Token Borders, Gabriel Pickard's Vile Tiles, and the D&D Monster Manual. The lovely illustration of Lisa's character was created by Lisa herself. She's very talented. Now, normally this is when we launch right in, but I do have to take a moment to say this is actually the second Session 1 we've recorded. We are true Twitch streamers now because the first Session 1, we had a glitch and lost some 25 minutes of audio on Lisa's end. And while I do chatter on, in a D&D one-on-one play, the other player being heard is kind of important. So, things are a little weird. This is not going to be an absolute recreation because we want to preserve some of the spontaneity of a real role-playing session. I have had to go back, remodify my notes, and it's like we're playing some other quantum reality where things happen differently from the first Session 1 that did not work well. So, Lisa, are you ready?
I am ready. I'm ready as I'll ever be.
That's a good way to put it. Okay, so let's go into our first little setup. All right. Now,
so pretty.
I know, I love that painting. It's perfectly evocative. Before we talk about what's going on right now in the world, why don't we talk about what happened to your character in Session 0? Could you give a brief recap?
Okay, Quel, who was training as a retainer of the Light League in Neverwinter, went on her test to become a full bringer of said Light League. She was sent on the test by her mentor, a half-elf paladin named Rhythm. She was assigned a fellow tester, a really snooty rich girl elf named Yazril. I don't know why her name
Yezril. Like yes.
And Rel.
Yeah.
Yezril. Yes. We had to go into a sewer near the giant creepy cemetery called Never Death. Find out why the sewer wasn't draining because that's causing a lot of flooding. Found a monster fungal, very aggressive fungus that was also animating a skeleton as well as attacking on its own. Yezril shot one arrow and then ran.
The arrow did hit.
The arrow hit. Yes, she will. Yes, the single arrow hit. Then my character was left to fight off both the aggressive fungus and the skeleton on her own. And fortunately, with the use of a health potion and lay on hands, managed to survive and pass her test. So that was actually really great.
It is. I'm excited for you.
Yezril did not pass.
But fortunately, because you're a paladin, you're not petty about it, I'm sure.
I'm not too petty.
Okay. Well, as we start our journey today, we begin in medias res, Latin for in the middle of things. We're a very fancy pinky out kind of actual play. And we turn our attention to Quel, who is currently riding in the back of a covered wagon that is being jounced back and forth, to and fro, as it's in the process of making its way off of a crude dirt ramp leading from the high road to the battered ruts of the Tribor Trail. You are now currently 2 days outside of Neverwinter, quite far from the city. Hold on, let me get this map set up for the players at home. There we go. And en route to the frontier settlement of Phandalin.
Okay.
Now, as to why you are there, we are going to be unfolding that as we proceed. But I will tell you this. Your character, as you make this turn onto the Tribor Trail, is quite troubled, quite uneasy at how the events of the last few days have unfolded. What does Quel do when she's worried? How does she like to cope with anxiety?
She basically goes, kind of recites the prayers and precepts of her faith to Ilmater. Just kind of repeat the probably like even some of the earliest lessons that she had as a paladin. Just that these things kind of give her comfort. So I feel they she feels like it kind of grounds her.
Ilmater, one of the gods of the Triad and the Forgotten Realms, lore, basically a trio of gods devoted towards justice and light. Ilmater is known as the Crying God. He has many different names, but his thing is that he suffers to prevent the suffering of others. And due to Quel's own childhood, growing up as a half orc orphan, the teachings of Ilmater definitely speak to her, also with an innate desire to do good as well as she can. So you're sitting in the back of this wagon studying this series of like prayers and sayings and stories, to just try to set your mind at ease. And you're interrupted in your studies when you hear like a voice shout out from the way, "Paladin, you awake in there?" And you recognize the voice as that of a halfling, a woman named Dinty Pothole, this extremely formidable leader of the caravan that you're on. This halfling you've watched over the last couple of days, and she's nothing short of extraordinary. She's run the caravan with competence and cursing in equal measure, and you've seen her back off burly caravan guards that stand near 7 feet tall, or shout at a driver nonstop to get him to take more care not to damage the cargo. She runs the caravan like a well-oiled caravan. So basically, she's been friendly to you. You haven't really seen much for her, interacted with her, except for when you first sort of got on board the caravan. The Light League had requested her help to provide you with passage to Phandalin, and she was happy to grant it as long as you and any others you brought would defend the caravan if attacked. And now you hear her calling your name.
I'm awake.
So you hear you see her you hear the footsteps, and then suddenly you hear a bump, and she pops up over the back sort of like door of the wagon, kind of crosses her arms, leans over, and gives you this look, and you just know she's irritated either with you or with one of the companions traveling with you. She just stares evenly and says, "Yeah, Paladin, we've got a bit of a situation outside. I think you need to come see it."
Okay.
And as you
I'll get up and go.
as you follow her out of the wagon, knowing that it's almost certainly something to do with the companions with you, your mind travels back 2 days ago to when these things that now trouble you started to rear their ugly heads. So 2 days ago, in the city of Neverwinter, you were actually having an absolutely lovely time. You had just succeeded in becoming a full-fledged bringer. You moved out of the group barracks of the retainers and into your own private quarters, and the following morning you just felt a tremendous sense of peace and accomplishment. And your mentor, Rhythm, basically ordered you to have a good time in the city. He wanted you to celebrate your achievement, and he knew that if he didn't instruct you specifically to do so, that you would probably spend all that time just practicing in the training area of the sanctuary. So,
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
So, being ordered to pursue recreation, how does Quel spend her day?
Okay. Well, I'm not supposed to train. So I guess what I'll do, what people are supposed to kind of normal people do when they want to relax, and go to a tavern and have a cider. Maybe
Uh,
listen to a bard.
a cider, not even like a light ale.
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Okay. All right. So the one tavern that you're really familiar with, that you know of, is this very nice tavern near the what's called the Bastion of Light, which is one of the two buildings owned by the Light League. The building you're familiar with is the Retainer Sanctuary. That is a building that's very functional, and it's in the poor section of the city. Whereas the Bastion of Light is right next to the Temple of Tyr in the I guess you would call it the Uptown region, and you feel a little out of place. Everyone around you is surrounded by you're surrounded by lords and minor nobility and people in very nice clothing. And suffice it to say, despite wearing your brand new Light League chainmail, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
chainmail.
with like the Light League badge that identifies you as a paladin. Being a half orc who stands nearly 7 feet tall, you get stares. You still get stares. I mean, it's not like you didn't expect otherwise, but
I mean, I'm like 6'1". I'm not okay. Maybe I'll seem taller to most people.
oh my bad, 6'1". But yeah, you probably seem taller with your
Yeah,
with your sort of natural glower. You can't really help it.
big shoulders.
But you do see something interesting as you near this tavern. You look across the way to the Bastion of Light, and you see something that's very unusual. You see a series of wagons that have been drawn up, like heavy reinforced wagons, and there is a tremendous amount of activity as these wagons are being loaded and like crates are being put on them. And right near the front, directing this operation, you see this like slim woman, human woman, wearing like the finest set of full plate armor you have ever seen. It's elvish made, and it looks like it's light as air. And you recognize her by the armor and by the way she is sort of directing everything. This is Duchess Safrith, which is one of the so-called Bright Lords, one of a member of high nobility that is in the Light League. There's only like 3 of them, which is why they have this reputation. She's one of the biggest leaders of the Order. You rarely see her outside of the Bastion of Light, and you've never seen her in armor.
Oh wow. So what's I assume I would know like both the proper form of address and whether or not I'm supposed to address her.
She's really, really high above your station. The Light League prides itself on being somewhat egalitarian, but yeah, that's your call.
You know what? I think I will kind of present myself to her and see if I can assist.
You would refer to her probably as either a senior bringer Safrith or Duchess Safrith.
All right, so I will not trying to be like really brusque or probably I'll kind of step forward. Excuse me, senior bringer Safrith. Is there anything I can do to assist?
She turns and looks at you, and there's a moment of like, I have no idea who this person is, and you actually see, and maybe this is cool. You see some recognition, and she says, "Bringer
Quel.
Quel, Bringer Quel. You just passed your test yesterday, did you not?"
Yes, ma'am, I did.
We only have one half-orc paladin, and of course, I know your mentor, Rhythm, quite well. Bringer Quel, it warms my heart to see you freely offer your services the day after becoming a bringer. But I assure you, the situation is well in hand, and the duties that we will require of you have nothing to do with this.
Okay. If may I ask what what this expedition is about, or
You may certainly ask.
but you may not answer.
She remains silent but keeps that same friendly smile.
Okay, very well. If you do not need my assistance with anything, I will be on my way.
Pray
Awkward, big awkward nerd paladin, kind of a nerd, you know.
Well, I mean, this is a noble-born woman, and she is smooth and slick, and makes this hyper awkward moment seem almost not awkward, as she basically wishes you salutations and prays that you enjoy your day off in the city.
Okay, and I'll give her Do the members of the Lightly salute each other?
Not
Yes.
really. You nod. You can give sort of a salutation or agree and do the whole like hand across the chest. It's really entirely up to you.
Okay. Well, I will make whatever appropriate polite gestures and.
I imagine that your character probably makes some version of what she thinks of as like this is what you do to a lord or a noble, and it's like just like a, like a really.
Yeah.
So okay. Wow. Thank goodness there's no such thing as awkwardness hit points. You basically you disengage from that conversation and enter the tavern. It is a very nice tavern. Perhaps amplified by what just happened, you feel even more out of place. But there is a bard, and he's very talented.
Okay, I like bards. I mean, I like listening to music and stories and stuff. So okay, maybe I will get a light.
Yeah, I feel like maybe an ale would be, after what just happened, that would be probably great.
Yeah.
Okay, so you order and enjoy your ale. Do you hang out, or are you going to book it back to the more squalid parts of the city you're familiar with very shortly?
I will actually make an attempt to relax and enjoy myself, maybe even for almost an hour, or at least a half hour.
Oh my gosh!
Listen to the bard. Try to. At least I'll try to at least make an effort, because Rhythm wants me to make an effort to be relaxed and have fun. But then I'm probably gonna go back and train for the rest of the day.
So after 45 minutes, your leg is juddering up and down impatiently. You pay your tab, quickly head out of the nice area of the city, head back into the retainer sanctuary, and unwind in the one place where you know how everything works, and that would be the training room.
Yes.
At the conclusion of your training, and after you clean up, you know that Rhythm has asked you to stop by the planning room in the evening. The planning room's on the second floor. It's a place where bringers, usually junior bringers, are sort of instructed and sent out on assignment, and he wanted to discuss sort of what your duties would be as a new bringer.
Okay, I will head up then.
So you walk up the stairs, and even before you get to the planning room, before you make it halfway down the hall, you hear noises coming from behind the closed door. It is a conversation, and a conversation is perhaps not the right word. A rather loud disagreement seems to be going on behind the door. Do you want to kind of just sort of
listen?
Yeah.
He's going to take a
casual eavesdropping. Go ahead and
perception.
Yep, make a perception check. Okay, so the wood in the door is like not particularly thick, but you can't quite make out all of the words that are being said. However, you do recognize the voices. You recognize the voice of your mentor, Rhythm, the half-elf, and you recognize another female voice. It's got a much more strident, aristocratic tone. It is the voice of Yisrael. So whatever's going on, it sounds very angry, and you hear his voice in a kind of very calm, even keel, followed by Yisrael's sort of loud, strident, voice. And at one point it rises so loud even you can hear it through the door. She says something, then says, "Why saddle me with this additional punishment?" And then you hear Rhythm's voice say, "The fact that you feel it's a punishment is proof of," and then it fades out again that you can't quite hear what's going on. And there's a little bit more of a conversation, and just as you're trying to decide, am I supposed to knock? What's going on? Because it's time to meet with Rhythm. The door wrenches open, and you see Yisrael, giving you that look you know so well from working with her. There it is. There's that look. Smirky, judgmental. As I've said in Session 0, she is an elf, and while humans would like to often stereotype elves as being snobbish aristocrats, Yisrael is not doing the elves any favors. She is from a city family, and she is quite young for an elf, and seems to think the world owes her a great deal. So she sees you, and it brings her up short, and she just is kind of in shock. And before you can like say anything, like she just kind of moves past you. I mean, there was a look on her face that for just an instant you thought she might actually strike you. But instead, she just walks by. She doesn't even try a shoulder check and quickly like disappears down the hallway. The unique clock of her extremely expensive shoes with electrum alloy heels disappearing down the hall. And at that point, Rhythm basically stands in the doorway and bids you enter.
I kind of like, I sort of shake my head a little and turn towards Rhythm.
So,
what was that all about?
Oh, you heard that, did you?
I heard a little bit of, I mean, her voice, she gets very loud.
She gets very loud. So let me describe the playing room a little bit. It's a room with a broad table in the center, and there's a few different maps laid out on them, but none of them have been fully unrolled. Then there's like some cabinets along the walls with drawers that hold more maps, books, handbooks, wildlife references. It's just sort of a general planning center. He sort of like leans up against the table, crosses his arms, and like sort of stares at you evenly. And Quel, as you know, I asked you to come in so that we could discuss your assignments for the light.
Yes. Yeah.
As you know, it is customary to assign a retainer to a bringer so that you could form a partnership, learn to trust one another, and work well when you're out in the field.
Yes.
This is the part where I tell you that Yezreel has been assigned to you as your retainer.
You see, she's like, okay.
Now, I know that this is not what you would have wanted.
No. No, I mean...
You can speak freely.
I can take her attitude. It's not anything I've not experienced so many times before, but she ran. It's like she can be as snobby or as full of herself. She can even insult me. Fine. I have a thick skin. But if I can't trust her to watch my back out in the field or in a fight,
it's my hope that we will start off in a series of slower duties so that you might learn to work with one another better. Now, there's no doubt that she's a challenge, but under that superficial disdain, I believe she's sincere in her desire to help. It's buried. It's deeply buried, but it's there. She needs a taste of the real world, and I believe you can provide it. Besides, there's a sudden knock on the door to the planning room, and you are closest to it, Quel.
I'll go and open the door.
You open the door, and for the second time today, you are surprised to see a much higher member of the Light League. It is Senior Bringer Stan. He's this like bald human with this extremely severe face. He's a cleric of Tyr, and he is like the most humorless person you know, and he looks even more dour than usual. When you open the door, he barely glances at you, walks right by. He's got a scroll case in his hand, and he hands it to Rhythm without saying a word. Rhythm, you see Rhythm like look concerned, his brow furrows. He pulls the scroll from the case and he unrolls it and he reads it. And as you watch, you see him grow pale, which is not something you've seen before. Senior Bringer Stan basically just looks at him and says, Duchess of Frith has been preparing. The expedition leaves in the morning, and you're coming with it. That shakes him out of it. He looks to you, and he looks back to Stan, and he says, "What about Phandalin?" Stan turns to look at you. "We have a new bringer. She can go." And like Rhythm kind of interposes himself between you two, and he looks at you again, and he looks back at Stan, and he says, "Quel has but one retainer. The Phandalin mission will need more. If you insist that Quel go, Leodern should go with her as well." Stan shakes his head sort of fundamentally, like completely dismissive. "He will be needed in the north." He thinks, and then he looks back at you. "She can have Pete." And you try to be an understanding person. You're a paladin.
Yeah.
But
trying not to show my reaction.
That's yeah. Let's talk about Pete. You know Pete. Every retainer knows Pete. The bringers know Pete. He's got a rather unfortunate nickname, Pickled Pete. He joined about half a year ago. There's a strong suspicion that he's one of the retainers that was given the option to join the Light League as a form of service to make up for a criminal conviction. That's kind of a shady activity that the city of Neverwinter sort of foists upon the Light League. You don't know for sure because there's no records that say that specifically, but it's hard to believe that his heart is in the idea of justice and light. He's a somewhat older-looking gentleman. He probably looks to be in his older 50s, and he's a sort of a bedraggled wizard, a magic user. There's rumors all about him because no one knows anything about his past. He doesn't talk about it. In fact, he seems like normally just deeply indifferent to everything, but anyone who tries to bring up his past, he turns almost violent immediately. So it's like impossible to get close to him. He has the aforementioned drinking problem, and it is widely assumed that he's going to be deeply unreliable in the field. You did hear that he performed well in a prior assignment dealing with kobolds just outside the city walls, but Pete. And with that, we bring ourselves back to the present, where you climb out of the caravan. And I should say one thing first. Before you fully leave this area to follow the halfling, do you want to do anything about Yezreel? Yezreel is actually sitting across from you in the wagon. She her legs are crossed and her eyes are closed. She's seeming to affect the elvish equivalent of sleep, which is called trance, except to the best of your knowledge, elves need only go in trance about 4 hours a day, and based on your experience, she's been in trance just about every single hour of the 2 days on this expedition and has exchanged maybe a dozen words with you.
Okay. So I'll glance at Yezreel. I'll look at Dinty.
Mm-hmm.
And is it trouble?
It's trouble. And it has to do with the other one you brought, the wizard.
Ah, okay. I'll let Yezreel keep trancing.
Okay.
Get out of the wagon.
So you jump to the ground, and she leads you back along this long row of wagons. And I'm sorry to say that you hear the problem long before you see the problem. There's a familiar voice, the voice of Pete, and it is raised in song. And as you get closer, you hear, "Don't go into a goblin hole. Don't go in search of gold. I'll find my adventure at the bottom of a tankard, but not in a goblin hole." You come past the group of wagons, and there's Pete. He is standing on top of a wagon of supplies, so it isn't a covered wagon, just perched on a series of stacked crates. And he goes into a second verse as you're watching, and Dinty just kind of like looks at you, pissed off, and says, "Some of my damn stupid guards gave him their ale rations. I know you said not to, but that old geezer offered a ridiculous amount of gold.
I see. Pete?
He looks at you for a second, blinks, and then goes right on singing. Something you should know, Paladin. Every time one of my men tries to get up there to stop him or pull him down, he threatens to set the lotus supplies on fire with a firebolt.
I see. Pete? Why are you up there?
I found something to drink, and when I drink, I celebrate.
That's fine. Do you have to celebrate up there?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. May I join you up there?
Nope. I like the air up here. Don't go into a goblin hole. Dingy turns to you and says, we got to get the caravan moving. We're already a few hours behind schedule.
I understand.
Lisa, would you like to keep working with him? This is a situation where you got a couple options. You could try to persuade him to come down. You could try to intimidate him to come down. Or you could go up there and bring him down.
Let's try persuasion first.
Okay, so after the initial sally didn't work, what do you want to say to him?
You know, we're not that far out of Phandalin. They probably have better places to celebrate there than atop of a bunch of supply.
But you won't let me celebrate because you say I can't drink.
That's true. But I am at a loss. Why? Okay. This is clearly it's suffering. So I'm telling myself this is my lot in life to suffer. Pete, please come down. Please.
Okay. Now, without like an explicit negotiation, you're just literally trying to define the core of human kindness within Pete. So go ahead and make a persuasion roll, and let's see how you do. So that would be a 1?
Yes,
okay.
That's a 1.
All right. So Pete seriously considers your offer and then responds with a particularly rude gesture.
Pete, do you want me to sick Yezreel on you?
yeah, sick Yezreel on me. You won't even come up to do your stuff.
You won't see her coming. You'll see me coming, and Dinty says you'll set the supplies on fire. You won't see her coming.
Don't go into a goblin hole. He's completely stopped listening to you.
Okay. Okay, you know what? How tall is like how long do you think it would take me to like climb up there if I went real fast?
You're athletic.
Do you think I could get up there before he set off a firebolt?
We could do an athletics check. There are plenty of handholds. You could scrabble up the side and essentially try to tackle him off the top of the wagon. Pretty quickly too. You're quite well trained and in excellent shape.
I tried to be diplomatic. I really did.
I saw it. The dice didn't like you. Didn't want you to help you. They wanted it to go this way.
Okay, well, all right, we'll try athletics.
Go ahead. Okay, 14. So you wait for him to kind of look away for just a second, and then you put your boot in like one of the spokes of the wheel, jump up. He turns back and blearily blinks in utter shock to find this massive, brawny half-orc like suddenly right next to him, and he doesn't have much chance to do anything else before your arms clinch around him and push him off the wagon and fall about 5 feet. And of course, a giant half-orc paladin in chainmail lands on top of him. He makes a sound that I can only try to do justice to here through the poor medium of audio. It's like a whoo, and before you've even gotten off of him, Dinty's like got the caravan moving again. So he looks like he's actually taken some damage. Few hit points worth because you had to be extra rough with him, and I would point out you do have lay hands if you would like to use that.
Yes, I am going because I'm going to use lay hands on him because he's no good. I mean, he's hardly any good drunk, but he's definitely no good injured. Didn't want to hurt him.
Okay, so you basically like call upon the power within you and like heal the bruising that you caused as you got off the wagon, and he suddenly, like part of the channeling of that magic, he suddenly blinks and seems to have sobered up a bit. To his credit, he looks. You see a flash of chagrin go across his face as he kind of blinks, and then he suddenly kind of sits up and just kind of looks at you.
Pete, why?
Because I like ale. I wouldn't have actually set the supplies on fire.
Yes, but you did delay things, and I guess we'll start like if I'll start kind of like we're walking along because the caravan's not going that fast.
No, you can totally walk alongside it.
Yeah, we'll walk alongside the caravan. Yeah, it's like you know how it is with these caravans. Every hour lost is gold lost out of their pouches, their money pouches.
Yeah, well, you know how it is with me. Every hour I'm not drinking is an hour lost to my personal happiness, I guess. All right, I'm sorry. I didn't expect all the guards to give me their rations. I just needed one water skin, but when they saw what I paid, 2, then 3, and 4, the 5th one threw his in. I thought, hey, when am I going to have a chance? That paladin seems to be real eagle-eyed, so
Yes.
I overindulged, I guess.
Do I need to keep an eye on your funds to keep from this from happening again?
Nope, I've spent them all.
Can I? Has he? I mean, can I like do what is it? Insight? Telling the truth?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and make an insight check. Good ask. Yeah, you're pretty sure he's telling the truth. Yeah, he seems to be kind of tickled at that genuinely tickled at your suggestion.
Well, I guess if you spent it all, let's put it behind us. Can't change the past, we can only look to the future.
Yeah, that sounds real sweet. Did you learn that in one of your books? And then he kind of just, without listening for your reply, he walks ahead, climbs up into the wagon, past Yisrael, who remains apparently oblivious to the world, and crawls up into like, some more supplies, and either stops moving or falls asleep almost immediately. Hard to tell which. Oh no, wait, it's asleep because he started snoring, and it's really, really bad. But it's sun's going down, and caravan's moving on.
Okay, well, nobody got hurt. No supply destroyed. Yay.
And then you sort of realize that Dinty, Pothole, is kind of shadowing you a little bit as you walk behind the wagon. And when she sees you looking at her or notice her, she just says, "That's the first time one of you Light League folks has ever been a problem. I hope I don't regret offering you guys passage."
I'm very sorry. They're not the companions I would have chosen.
I'm sure not, and if you don't mind me saying, you seem a bit on the untested side.
This will be my first assignment.
Well, if you want lessons from me, just watch how I deal with these lugs around here. You want some advice?
Of
Be
course.
firm. Be harsh. Be unyielding. Sometimes that's what it takes. Anyway, things happen. It's fine. To be honest, you seem like a reliable sort, Paladin, and I'll be glad to have your help if that dragon shows up.
Do I know about the dragon? Did Rhythm mention
I'm
the dragon?
so glad you said this because you do know about the dragon, and for the final time, we're going to cast our thoughts back to the town of Neverwinter the morning after that evening with Rhythm. Once again, that morning, you got a troubled sleep based on what you heard about Yezreel and, of course, what you heard about Pete.
Yep.
But the morning dawns at least relatively light. It's early summer, but you're up fairly far up in the north, and the day dawns cool with low humidity. It's a good day for travel. You're standing in the bright sunlight outside of the sanctuary, and Yezreel is already there, with like a traveling pack that literally looks like it was purchased from the supplier probably 2 days ago. It is a very nice traveling pack. It looks like it's never really been used.
Of course.
She keeps her distance from you. She has basically said nothing. If you've talked to her, you've gotten sort of clipped single-word responses.
Not going to try to force camaraderie. I know what this is.
And it's good that you don't, because Rhythm basically exits out. And he's got a couple pieces. He's got like a satchel in his hand, and he motions you over to him.
Okay, I go over.
Quel, we weren't able to talk about this last night because I was still waiting to hear back from a courier that had been dispatched to Phandalin a week ago. We knew there may be trouble, which is why I was supposed to go. But you'll be now going in my stead. I don't have good news, I'm afraid. The courier reported back. Situation is as bad as we had feared. It sounds like a dragon has started nesting somewhere in the Sword Mountains, just to the south of Phandalin.
How old a dragon? How big a dragon?
We don't know. I don't believe it's an elder worm, but it's not a hatchling either. Based on the few reports we've collected, it's likely a white dragon. If it has chosen to settle to the south of Phandalin, that town will be under its shadow and in potentially grave danger. Now, I don't want you to worry. You're not being asked to face a dragon. That is beyond you. That would be beyond me. So please don't get any ideas that is what your job is to do when I send you to Phandalin.
Okay. So what exactly is my job there?
You're going to be a representative of the Light League. You're going to help keep order, to reassure the people of Phandalin, be a public presence. Feel free to assist them, to aid them, help the local government do what it needs to do. The greatest weapon you can bring to bear in this situation is your very presence. Help where it is needed, do everything you can, but under no circumstances are you to engage that dragon should you see it. That is not your job. Understand?
Understood.
All right. He hands you the satchel and says, within here is 50 gold pieces and 4 potions of healing. The League has arranged for an ongoing accommodation at the Stonehill Inn. That's the only inn in Phandalin. Can't miss it. and its proprietor, Toblin Stonehill, will be waiting for you.
Toblin Stone Hill. There was a Stone Hill Inn?
That's correct.
Okay.
Now, you may have to leave the town. In fact, I assume you will have to leave the town if you are to assist its local governments in dealing with this new threat. But make sure that one of the retainers is always present in case of emergency. So if at all possible, don't leave the town completely unguarded.
Understood.
So he starts to speak more, and that's when the door opens and Pete staggers out. And this is like the first time you've seen Pete since he was assigned to you. He looks rough. He basically he's wearing like extremely ratty robes. He's carrying this threadbare carpet bag, and he has a weathered spellbook slung over like a backpack. His eyes are so bloodshot as to practically be red. He kind of looks you up and down. It's hard to say if he has any feelings one way or another towards you, and then he just goes, "Bring her," and staggers off to stand near Yezreel, who takes a step away from him. Rhythm doesn't dwell on it. He just pulls you into an embrace that's as welcome as it is surprising, and just says, "Good luck to you, Bringer Quel. Go well, and bring the light wherever you roam."
You as well, Bringer Rhythm. Please take care of yourself.
Yes, I feel we should both be very, very careful in coming weeks.
Yes.
And those
yes.
are the thoughts in your head as you drift to sleep in the back of the wagon with your two retainers that, as you say, you would not have chosen willingly.
Nope.
So it seems like trouble's just not letting you get the rest that you need, because the next thing you know, you gasp, your eyes pop open, and it's night. You can tell immediately that it's night, and something is wrong. The wagon has stopped, and you hear noises, lots of talking going on outside of the wagon.
What kind of talking were they?
It sounds like it's coming towards the front of the caravan. Lots of voices, an undercurrent of fear, readily identifiable.
Poke my head out of the wagon and see if I can tell what's up.
You're not really sure just from sticking your head outside the wagon. You see a few guards run past, heading towards the front of the caravan, and you see Pete. Pete is actually standing on the ground, like next to the wagon, and he's just kind of staring off, like to the left of the caravan. If you were like facing towards its front.
All right, I'll start climbing out of the wagon. It's like, what's going on? And ask, what's going on?
Pete turns to look at you as you approach, and his expression, unreadable as it often is, just that usual hint of sadness to it. And he kind of just raises his hand and points, and you follow his finger out to the rough ground and the grasses that lead all the way back to the forest in the far distance. And in the middle distance, about 30 or 40 yards away, you see this bright white streak going across the ground, and it's like sparkling in the moonlight. It stands out like it's glowing in the dark.
Can I tell what it is from here?
Before you can even sort of figure out what it is, Pete just sort of says, "It's dragon's breath from an ice dragon."
Did it just was the dragon here, or did we?
If the dragon were here, I think we would know. Paladin! You hear Dinty approaching.
See if you can wake Yezreel, and I'll go to where I'm being called.
Okay. She catches you 15 feet past the edge of the wagon and just basically says, "You seen it?"
The ice? Yes, I did.
Yeah, the guards are spooked. You want to check it out?
Sure. Absolutely. Let me just go get my people, and we'll go take a...
All right. So she basically kind of like wanders back to her guards. When you come around, like you see Yisrael still in the exact sort of cross-legged position, but her eyes are open and staring at you quite as coldly as the ice you're glimpsing in the distance.
Well, time to earn our pay, so to speak.
She like rolls her eyes. What's going on?
Dragon's breath.
And
And we've been asked to check it out, so come on.
so she like gets up and gets out of the wagon, and as you start walking by, Pete kind of like sort of grabs your arm and leans over. Think maybe you and her could just handle it.
Are you
He holds up his hand. It's without the my hands are shaking too much. I'm not sure I could get a spell off.
You know what? I'll kind of like pat him on the shoulder, like, okay, we'll take care of it.
I'm sorry, Paladin.
You know, she actually smiles at him about that. She really she wants to help this dude a lot. She's hoping, you know, she's got this kind of she really wants like hoping like she can pull him out, but yeah. So she got like pat she pats him on the shoulder, let him go, do what he needs to do. Yezra and I will take care of it. Or check it out.
He just kind of nods and sort of stays next to the wagon and watches. Yezreel gets like takes her sweet time getting her like short sword and buckling on her weapons, and then finally when she's ready, she kind of gestures as in to say after you.
I take the lead, of course.
Okay, so fortunately, both of you have excellent like dark vision, so you don't need a torch. Like you can normally you'd be picking your way very carefully over the ground, which is like choked with weeds, but you can see your way pretty clear, and you make your way over, and as you get close, it's kind of unnerving. The air itself, which was otherwise this kind of fairly warm summer night, becomes cold, and like it feels like the air is charged with chill that's hung around. The vegetation where this massive sheet of ice has been laid over has been flash frozen, coated with a thick rime of like frost. And there are these two giant sort of mounds right in the middle of it that are hard to identify from the edge. This is a big broad strip about 25 feet across.
Okay. I will head over to check on what those mounds are.
Okay, one
Carefully.
second. Let me get the because you were with Yezreel, so let me get that portrait set up here, and then let me do some bookkeeping. Pete is waiting back by the wagon. Okay, so you're going to set foot onto the ice strip and investigate?
Mm-hmm. Moving carefully on the ice.
Okay, go ahead and make me an athletics check as you step foot onto this very slippery surface. Oh, but maybe it's because Yezreel's watching, but you step carefully and with confidence, and the grass and the wildflowers that had once been in bloom just crunch underneath your boots as you sort of stomp towards these hard to identify like humps in the middle of this thing. And as you get close, you see that these are in fact they're bodies of bears, like two brown bears contorted and covered in frost. And when I say two bodies, it's more like 1.5, because one of the bears has been completely torn in half, and you do not see any sign of the other half of the body. Like, there's this gruesome red viscera juxtaposed against the white of the frost, though even the blood itself has been crystallized with the cold. And based on what you've heard, you can see the marks on the thing. It looks like a giant clawed hand had essentially both chopped this bear in half and carted away the front of it.
Huh. I'm trying to like picture in my mind something of a size that would carry half a bear and not maybe a whole bear.
you
Of course,
have
I've never seen a dragon, so
you have no real experience, but just taking a wild guess, you're picturing something the size of at least a small house.
okay.
So, just as you're contemplating what that means, a growl starts up on the other side of this ice strip, and you see like some glowing eyes and realize that there are a couple of wolves on the far side just growling and there's something wrong. It's like almost like they've been driven mad by maybe what happened here, because they're slobbering and growling and are not acting at all like like they were in their right wolfy minds.
Okay, make sure my sword is out, and
Okay,
I'll let them come. I'll let them come.
so you draw your sword, and it seems to be the sound of the sword leaving the scabbard. At that moment, as that little sound happens, the other bear suddenly rears up with a loud roar. The two wolves turn and dash away as fast as possible, and they don't have to worry because that's not what this half-frozen, crazed bear is paying any attention to. It's paying attention to you and the fact that you're standing about 5 feet away from it. And we get to roll initiative. It's very exciting for everybody.
Oh, I don't have a sheet to roll for Yezreel's initiative.
Oh, hold on a second. I can fix that. I am going to give you permission to use that. Oh, hold on a second here. Edit. There we go. I'm glad you said something. Okay. And if you check your thing, you should now see Yezreel in the thing on the side under where Pete is.
Okay. Hold on. There she is. Okay, there she is in all of her glory.
And I've got the bear here to say hi to you guys.
Hi, Mr. Bear. Oh, that's a sad bear.
Hello.
Okay, let me roll initiative for myself and my
Okay.
friend.
Oh, maybe. Okay, so you're definitely surprised by what's happening.
Yeah, Yezreel's not doing that much better than me.
Yezreel rolled 6. Yeah, Yezreel is not doing much better than you. Let's see how this half-frozen, half-crazed bear does. Well.
But let's hope that's the only crit he rolls.
so natural 20, that bear definitely reared up to attack. Now bears get you have one advantage in this. It's a terrifying giant brown bear, but it clearly has been partially frozen and looks to be quite wounded. That's not going to stop it from doing what it does so well, which is make 2 attacks. So first, it tries to. Oh wait, hold on a second. I think I've got the. Give me one moment here. I want to make sure that you are not facing the wrong type of bear.
Okay.
Give me. Let's see. Was it this one? Aha. Yes, I got it. Excuse me. I had you set for because like you would have hated me. I had you set for a brown bear, and I actually meant to have you fight a black bear. You'll thank me later.
They're actually smaller, aren't they?
They are. Literally smaller on the map. Yeah. Okay, there we go. There we go. Much better. I was like looking at what the attack roll did, and I'm thinking, oh, that doesn't seem right. Okay, so it basically is going to try to bite you to start, and no problem. It's not even paying attention. Its jaws just chomp onto the cold, frozen air, and then it comes at you swinging these massive claws. Those, unfortunately, do catch more than air. They catch you and do a fair amount of damage. 7 points. Giant claws just rake you, one then the other, right across the front. Cut into like penetrate through the chainmail, and yeah, you're cut pretty bad. And you get to, and then Yezreel gets to go next.
Okay, Yezreel is going to shoot it. We know she can actually shoot her arrows.
She has been known to hit before, yes. Wow. Wow, that's the second one you've rolled this session.
Okay, so our arrow, I assume, went right by the bear.
Yeah, you literally like 10 feet over the top of the bear. Maybe she was surprised by its sudden eruption into violence.
Okay, I'm going to try to hit it with my sword.
Okay.
Now.
Fortunately, you don't have to move, so you're not going to incur any slipping and sliding. Oh, very nice. Go ahead and roll damage. Your sword strikes true. Dang. All right.
Nice.
So like after recovering from the claw swipes, you spear your sword deep into the bear's hide, and it roars, not dead, but like fresh blood pools out onto the snow and the frost. Unfortunately, it is still active, and it is going to strike back. But first, it's going to basically try to climb up from where it was like partially laying down and kind of go into a big attack stance. And it's going to have to make an athletics check, which it does. So it basically scrambles up. So now that it's like suddenly mobile and could be more easily go after Yezreel if it came to that. But it's basically going to how do I want to do this? I know what it's going to do. So get ready because it's going to come and bite you.
Of course, as it does.
What's your armor class?
18.
Okay, so it basically like comes to bite, and you have a shield, right?
Yes, that's yeah.
You bring your shield up, and like its jaws just bounce right off of the shield, and then like it actually sort of turns away from you and starts lumbering over towards Yezreel. Now, as soon as it gets away from you, that's going to give you an opportunity attack.
Right, I was actually wondering if that was the
case.
Yeah.
So it's not thinking like strategically, it's crazed.
Okay, let's swing my sword at its unprotected flank.
Oh, yeah. Unprotected indeed. It was wide open, and you took advantage. Roll damage. Whoa! So this bear would have been far more dangerous, except it was essentially already half dead. As the bear turns and starts lumbering towards Yezreel, who you immediately see start to back up before it, like you turn, grab your sword in like both hands, like push your shield back, grab sword in both hands, and then just fall on its back and drive the sword all the way through the bear and into the frozen ground, and the bear like gives one sort of pitiful growl and slumps dead.
Let out a long breath.
Yezreel like is trying to get her composure. It surprised me. And I released too early.
No, that's understandable. It surprised me too. I'm gonna look around, see if there are any other like bears or wolves or other crazed animals that seem like they want to take a chunk out.
You see no other fauna that is wanting to beef with you at this time.
Okay. I'll kind of like wipe my sword off and slide it back into its scabbard and
so when you basically when you make your way back to the caravan, you can see Pete. He's like standing there, like, and you notice that he's gotten his spell book and has it like slung, like he was getting ready to come after you. And he basically just says like, I heard some growling and some roaring. I couldn't quite make out what was going on.
Yeah, there was a bear. There were a couple of bears caught by the dragon's attack. One was dead. One was only looked dead, but it's dead now.
Is everyone all right?
It's gonna look down, so like
I mean,
bleeding.
you're battered and bleeding, but
I'm
upright.
walking.
All right. I'm going to bed. My head is killing me. He climbs
Understood.
back into the wagon. Yezreel sort of like looks at you and then just says, "You're bleeding."
Yes, I am.
Might want to tend to that. She crawls into the back of the wagon.
Yeah.
So Dinty, you hear Dinty like, and he comes running up to you. Paladin, you okay?
Just a little battered. That's all. Bears.
God,
Fortunately, it was already almost dead, I think.
Was that what that was?
Yeah. Kevin, remind me what the healing thing is. I mean, should I actually go ahead and use a health?
Well, yeah,
potions,
because like it's important to remember that you're going to go back to sleep after this, which is going to be a long rest. You're going to recover pretty much all of that and all of your hit points. But for story purposes, it absolutely would be a completely normal thing for you to kind of press your hands against yourself to like lay on hands. Well, normally anyway. Unfortunately, you use that to help Pete.
I've got some bandages and stuff, so I keep it from bleeding all over the place.
Okay, so you basically do your best to kind of patch yourself up, and then once your armor's clean, wounds are dressed, you curl up in the back of the wagon and do your best to try and get some sleep. And just when you think that you're not going to be able to fall asleep, you're waking up. It's dawn, and the halfling and Dinty is informing you that the wagon is getting ready to pull into Phandalin.
Okay.
So let's come back to the Sword Coast. Here we go. And give me 1 second here. And as as the caravan makes its way into Phandalin, would you like to get out of the wagon and sort of walk it in to see what you're dealing with?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's good after a few days in the wilderness to see signs of civilization. Phandalin, you don't know a lot about it. Rhythm said something to the effect of it's being rebuilt after lying abandoned for more than 100 years, and you see signs of that everywhere. As the caravan sort of starts heading down into this gentle valley, you start passing all of these ruins. Like, they're not like tall ruins, they're like ruins that have been scoured nearly to the earth by time. Foundations covered in like brambles and plants. And then as you start getting closer to the town proper, you see that some of these foundations have been cleared and have had simple wood structures erected on top of them. Some new structures have been created, and some are actually in the process of being built. Even as the caravan winds past it, you finally crossed over a small rise, and then feast your eyes on Phandalin proper, which is, as Rhythm described, like a bustling frontier town.
Oh yeah.
So let's see, the little town of Phandalin, and of course the caravan is approaching from the north, from the Tribor Trail right here, and as you get past like the outer reaches, you notice that many of those ruined foundations have been recovered. Other of those foundations have been like cleared away and turned into farmland, and there's just a general hustle and bustle of activity as this little town sort of like goes about its day that shows you that it is thriving. There's this massive ruin to the east on top of a hill that looks like this once great manor of a nobleman or a lord that has fallen into complete disrepair and ruin. But other than that kind of ominous image, the rest of the town seems to be doing quite well. So as the caravan pulls through down this little street, you're looking out, you see a few shops. This little shop right here is a supply store. It's called Barthen's Provisions. And it looks to be like sort of a dry goods, sells farm equipment, a general equipment supply store. And as the caravan moves past this building, you see that that is the Stone Hill Inn and is marked as such with a little painting out on the sign out front of a what, like literally a gray hill. And then the caravan pulls into the central square, and you can see a sort of beautifully made shrine to Timora on the north side right here, where like cobblestones and ruins have been collected and sort of cunningly assembled into this beautiful little shrine to Timora. Across the square here, you see a big square building with a bell tower that clearly seems to be the town master's hall, or where the government, such as it is in a little frontier town like this, is centered. So as you and Yezreel and Pete are basically climbing down from the wagon, Dinty finds you one final time and says, "Well, Paladin, we're here. We made it in one piece."
Thank you very much for taking us all this way.
We were happy to do it, and we were happy to have the help. One thing I will say, if you needed a ride back, or if one of your companions needed a ride back, you're going to have to leave tomorrow morning, because we're not staying like we usually do. With that sighting last night, my men, they refuse.
I understand. I understand completely. We're going to be here for a while, though, I think.
All right. So you, making your farewell, you have arrived in Phandalin, and it's all up to you now. What do you want to do?
Okay, I guess honestly the first thing is we will check in, or we will go to the Stonehill Inn and see to getting our stuff to our room or rooms.
Okay, so you guys
Maybe get a meal.
you guys head into the Stonehill Inn, and it's basically as described. It's this like modest 2-story roadhouse. There are 6 rooms to rent on the upper floor and a common room. And the courier of the Light League had already made arrangements. As long as you are staying here, you have access to like one of the bigger single rooms. But of course, it's assumed that you're going to be basically bunking together. Because, as I say, it's not a very big roadhouse, but your accommodations have all been taken care of, and that includes food as well. This short, friendly human introduces himself as Toblin Stonehill. He wipes his hands on his leather apron before he shakes your hand, and you're happy to note that he. A lot of people hesitate with half-orcs, but he doesn't. He seems completely comfortable with you, which is sometimes the little things. But he bids you and your party welcome, and basically, says. Like, we're happy to help the Light League, and we're happy that you can come to help us in these troubling times.
Well, we do thank you for putting us up while we're here.
We'll be happy to help you, and don't worry, they supplied us with a good amount of gold, so your meals are free whenever you need them. We're lucky to have you. We've been lucky. Phandalin's had a few groups of adventurers come through, but unfortunately, the Phandalin fortune seekers who kind of watch over us are busy right now, so we're just happy to have some adventurers back in town.
Okay. Well, we'll go up to our room to get settled in, I think, before dinner. So was it morning or?
It's morning. It's morning.
Okay.
And Pete's already settled in. If by settled in you mean asleep in the bed by the time you actually get up there. Yezreel is basically looking at him with undisguised disgust and contempt. She kind of like glances at you as you enter, and then basically says, "And what are your orders, noble bringer? Or am I free to explore the town?"
For now, you are free to explore the town. In fact, that would definitely be a good idea. Find what's going on.
Oh, joy. Can't wait to see the sights. And she sidles past you and heads out.
And you said Pete was asleep already on the bed?
Judging from the horrifying noises coming forth from his open mouth, yes.
Okay, I want to head back downstairs and see then if I have a kind of private word with Toblin.
Okay, yeah, he's helping some customers, but you wait for him to finish serving up some ale, and then he sees you kind of like wanting to talk to him and walks over, and you two stand beside next to the fire, which is banked low because of the summer heat.
One of my companions, the older gentleman, Pete, he has a bit of a problem with ale.
Does he now?
Yes, I would appreciate it if you not indulge his desire in that. I'm trying to get him so he doesn't get drunk all the
Lisa, I'm making a note.
time.
Okay. Toblin looks sympathetic and just kind of like nods and says, "If you'd like, Paladin, I'll make sure that my family and that our servers know not to serve him ale. I've had problems, people like him before. Is he going to be violent about it?"
No, no, he's not a violent person. He's just very he has his troubles. And sometimes he thinks the ale will help his troubles when they don't. And I'm sure you've seen that sort of thing before.
Indeed, I have. We won't serve him. I know he is a magic user, so if we have problems, I'll come to you.
Yes, absolutely. If he gives you any problems, in fact, if he complains to you, you just tell him I said so.
All right.
He
Well,
already blames me for that sort of.
I'm eager to help. Please let me know if there's anything else you need.
Thank you very much. And then I think actually I also would want to actually just take a walk around town.
Okay. Is there any place in particular you'd like to look at?
I want to take actually a look at that ruined manor. That's quite a ways up, but it's.
Well, your voice just went out.
No, I heard you started talking, so
No. What I was going to say was like, you do know that Rhythm said that you're supposed to help the local government, such as it was. So
Good point.
so sightseeing. Hey, you do what you want to do, and I'll go for it. But I just
no. That's actually a good point. In fact, I had thought of that earlier and then just fled my mind. Okay, you know what? Actually, you're right. Let me. By the way, did I heal up any of the hit points?
Oh yeah. You had a long rest. All of your hit points are now healed, and you can use lay on hands again.
Okay, so in that case, yeah, you're right. I'll head to the
Town Master's Hall, which is
yes.
as I said, is this building. Oh, pressing at the wrong screen here. The Town Master's Hall is the 1 second, right here, and it is like. And it is a sturdy. It's one of the nicer buildings in town in terms of its sturdiness. It has big timbers. It has sturdy stone walls all the way up to the first floor. A pitched wooden roof, and then a sizable bell tower has been erected at the back. Before you even get to the front door, you notice that there is a job board that has been like sort of erected out front, and it looks fairly new, like somewhat sizable, like it has been erected fairly recently. And what am I doing here? There we go. And it actually already has several notices pinned to it, and they all seem to be written in the same hand. A pretty beautiful common script.
Okay, I will look at some of the. I'll just look at some of the notices. I'm going to head inside soon, but let me take a look.
There are in fact 3 current notices on the board and signs of others that have been like removed. There's one of them. There's another. Like if you can't see them, you're going to want to manipulate your own map to see them. I can't move your map for you.
Except I can't move anything either.
No, you can. You have the ability to move your own.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, sorry.
No,
I'm trying to drag like actual elements, but no, I could just like scroll up.
Yeah. And these are 3 notices that you currently see on the board. For those playing at home, the notices include one that talks about some dwarven prospectors who are currently excavating ruins in mountains to the southwest, and no one has warned them about a dragon being in the area. So The town is looking for someone to travel to this dwarven excavation and let them know what's going on. There is a local midwife, an acolyte of Shantia, a goddess of agriculture, named Adabra Gwyn, who lives by herself outside of town, a few miles south, and needs to also be warned that it's not safe. And actually, the town masters want you to ask her to come into the main area of Phandalin where she won't be isolated. And finally, there's a clan of rock gnomes in a network of caves that live to the southeast, living in a community called Nomengard. And they are, pretty... You don't really know much about them, but apparently they don't think they're in any danger. They think they might actually be able to help, being like a community of magic users and tinkerers. And so all of these tasks come with a reward, and you notice that they are all signed by the same person, Town Master Harbin Wester.
Okay. Well, after taking note of those, I will head into the Town Master's Hall, make my introduction, I suppose.
Okay, so you enter into this as I say, it's not like it's not like the fancy government offices of Neverwinter. It is a simple structure with crude wooden floors, some benches for like applicants or commoners to wait, not even carpets, and kind of like a very small sort of like front desk, and then a door that leads back into the town master's office. There's also a flight of stairs going down to what looks like maybe jail cells or like a place where people can be detained. But the only person you see upon entering is a man sitting behind the desk. He appears to be a clerk of some sort. Yes, can I help you?
Yes. My name is Quelliana. I am with the Light League. I believe
you're with the Light League. You are with the Light League yourself.
Yes, I do have 2 companions, but they're elsewhere. We just arrived this morning.
You're an
Paladin. Yes.
Big
smile.
Yes, of course. That's what I'm a paladin. Of course, of course. How may I assist you?
Well, as I said, my companions and I just arrived, and I just wanted to introduce myself to the town master and let him know that we're here.
Ha. I see. Yes. There will be there might be a problem. The town master is not currently receiving visitors. He's a bit taken aback by the things that have been happening, and that may be difficult.
Difficult?
Yes.
Has he fled the town?
No, he has not fled the town. He has not fled his domicile. He will not leave his house. He won't leave his house.
I see. Can you give me directions to his house? I'll be happy to call upon
I would be happy to give you directions to his house. So the clerk literally walks over to the window and motions for you to join him, and you both lean out and look out, and he just points to this house right here. Can you see that? I just realized you can't see that on my... Hold on. That's on me. Here we go. That house right there. So
okay.
You'll find Town Master Wester to be there. Don't be insulted if he won't directly speak to you. It's not because you're a paladin.
I see. Little skittish is he?
He's not taking it well. No.
Understood. Well, thank you. And I have noticed the job board outside. I'm sure my companion hopefully will help.
He gives those to me when he receives reports, and we could use we could use some help. We are a little understaffed presently, and there are no adventurers currently in town. And what with the news, yes, thank you.
Right. I understand. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, I'll leave him
So,
to his business.
you extricate yourself from that conversation, head back outside into the early morning sunlight, and walk the literal 100 feet to the front door of a modest but pleasant cottage. That is, there's no notice that says that it belongs to anyone, but it is one of the nicer dwellings that you have thus far seen.
Okay.
Okay, so you basically like knock on the door, and you hear. There's a moment you actually hear like this loud like thump, like almost like someone's like fallen onto the floor in startlement, and then some heavy footsteps, clump clump clump, and then finally from behind the door, you basically from behind the door you hear a voice just go, "If you're a dragon, know that I am far too thin and bony to make a good meal."
Sir, if I were a dragon, I probably would not knock.
So, you're not a dragon?
No, I am the paladin from the Light League.
Oh, yes, the courier told me you would be coming. It's nice to meet you.
Well, it's hard to say one has met someone when there's a door between.
It's hard, but not impossible. This is how I would prefer to conduct business at present. Thank you for understanding.
Clearly, Kevin, this man is suffering.
Yeah, there's no question that Townmaster Harbin Wester does not make a great first impression.
Understood. Well, you can at least rest your mind at ease somewhat because we are here, and I have been to the Townmaster's Hall, and I have seen your notice.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Will you be able to assist us then?
That is what I'm here for.
Lovely, lovely. I will happily pay you for every way that you help us. What would you like to do first?
Well, you know the town in the area far better than I do, coming from Neverwinter. What do you have a recommendation?
Oh dear. No. I hope that was helpful.
I cannot truthfully say that it was, but
Listen,
fine.
listen. You help us do what you're supposed to do, and when you have done one of those notices, you bring it back and tell me that you've done it, and then I will pay you. Good?
That sounds very simple.
Good. You sure you're not a dragon?
I am very positive I do not have scales, nor do I breathe anything dangerous.
That is a relief. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Ah, the little town of Phandalin. Phandalin city government, not the best. Not the best.
Okay.
So, here you are in Phandalin. Oh, turned you off. Didn't mean to. There we go. Pete and Yezreel. You're by yourself. You have a decision to make if you are to assist the town. So tell me, Quel, what task would you like to undertake first?
I think first we'll see about like one of the two warning people to come, like maybe the midwife first.
Okay, the Adabra Gwyn.
Yes, she's like, she lives by herself, and she's only a few miles south.
Yep.
We'll warn her first, then see to the dwarven prospectors.
Okay, well, you can't be in two places at once. So if you're
No,
going to
no.
if you're going to head to Umbridge Hill, you then have another decision that's very important. Who are you going
Okay.
to take with you?
Yezreel. Have I ever seen Yezreel be nice or charming to anyone? I mean, I know she's got a thing, she doesn't like me, but have I ever seen her be nice to anyone?
You
She seemed to
once
have any charm at all.
you have seen her be fawning to the point of like obsequious to one of the Bright Lords and to senior members of the Lightbringers. No one else has elicited the slightest iota of charm.
I see. Okay, you know what? I'll take Pete.
Okay. So Yezreel's not back by the time you head upstairs. It's still morning, and since the windmill is only a few miles south of Phandalin, there's no way you can, it's perfect, easily traversable within the span of a day. So as long as you start basically now, as I say, Yezreel's not there, but that's not an issue. Pete is still, for all intents and purposes, asleep on the bed.
Okay, I'll give him a bit of a shake, see if I can wake him up.
Yeah. What is it?
We already have a little task to do.
We do?
We do, yes.
We're very thrilled.
It'll be very simple. We're just going to take a walk to the south of town and see if we can't get local midwife to come into town where it's a little safer.
Sounds easy-ish. So he basically like kind of pulls on like sort of a small pack of supplies and heaves on the massive weathered-looking spell book, and then like looks at you, rubs his eyes. Lead on, Bringer.
Okay, we will head. Nice walk.
Okay, so you basically set out to head to Umbridge Hill and find out exactly what is going on. And that is where we'll leave things off, and we'll pick things up with what's happening on Umbridge Hill in Session 2. I feel good about this one, because I don't believe the audio went out once.
Yay!
There it goes. Good. Okay. Just getting a little nervous. For those of you that have stuck with this whole thing, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully, like as we've now sort of gotten into the heart of the adventure, we'll be moving forward through the more familiar aspects. Of Session 0 and a lot of Session 1 was setting up Quel's character and her motivation. So I was basically adding a lot of flourishes to the initial quest stuff. But from here on out, we're pretty much like, into the heart of it. So, let's see here. Let me see. Oh, you can find us on social medias. We are known to briefly dwell there. There we go. I can be found on Twitter and Instagram. On Twitter, I'm at FlamFlynn. On Instagram, I'm at FlynnFlam82. Lisa, what's your Twitter handle?
I'm on Twitter as Has Hyena.
And
that's,
oh, sorry.
No, and that's mainly where you'll find my.
And we just purchased a brand new web address so that we don't have to navigate a string of consonants to the YouTube channel. You can find previous sessions at thedicepirates.com, which is helpful because we are going to, the Session 0 is about to drop off of Twitch, and a lot of people prefer to start at the beginning. So I'd like to thank everybody for watching. We hope you've had a good time. Keep your flagons full and your dice warmed up. Farewell, everybody. Oh, say goodbye, Lisa.
Bye.
Bye.